Iris, welcome to Hohenems again.
Yeah, great to be here.
Yeah, and we hope to stay.
Yeah, I was offered the job.
Where to start? I mean,
yeah,
you did a project that lasted for 7 years. You did a book and an exhibition. It came to us in May last year. We had an opening that was full of joy and a kind of utopia, with the girls celebrating with us, their husbands, musicians from Palestine, Israel, Berlin, Hamburg, America, wherever. Yiddish and Arab.
Yeah.
And we had the idea that the exhibition that you did together with the 4 young ladies had a meaning, not only for Israelis and Palestinians and Israeli Palestinians or Palestinian Israelis, but also for us here and for people here that are either somehow connected with this region of the world or are simply affected by what's going on there. And then the 7th of October came and we had no idea what would happen here as well. And since then, a lot of ugly things, more ugly things are happening there, which is in your place. But there are also ugly things happening here. We are working with youth groups, with adult groups, with all kinds of people who either are frustrated and heavily shocked by what's going on, or are smart and know everything about it and know who's the good side and who are the bad ones. But how did it affect you in the first days after October 7 and since then? I mean,
yes.
How do you see the exhibition after that?
Okay, you want me to talk about what happened on the 7th of October? We woke up at 6:30 in the morning for sirens and missiles, and my daughter said, "What's the connection? Why a missile in the morning?" And we went back to sleep, and after 15 minutes, again, there were missiles, attack on all Israel. And then little by little, we heard of the big attack of the 3,000 terrorists of Hamas that entered Israel and attacked 40 villages and kibbutz on the border of Gaza. These are not settlements. This is part of Israel. I know some in newspapers they write settlements, but and the massacre and the big Nova party that were killed there, like 300 murdered there, and there were evidence of rape and beheading, and we were like glued to the TV for a week, I think. We just didn't leave the TV, and nobody went to work for like a month, because there was all the time the missile attacks. Everybody knows someone. My son in the afternoon was suddenly white. He just finished the army, and he said, "My friend Eviatar, I see in the Hamas video clips that he's abducted, and he's still abducted." So everybody, Israel is very small. Everybody knows everyone, like you know. Everybody is affected by it. 40 Arabs, citizens of Israel, were murdered. There are Arab and Bedouins that are abducted in Gaza. So it affected everyone, and we are still heartbroken. We still hear every day in the news stories about the abduction and people that ran away and heroes that saved other people from the house. And it's important to know that Israelis were not in Gaza for 18 years. It's not like the West Bank. So, and most of the people that were murdered from the kibbutz, and they went from door to door, I don't know if you know, and burned houses, literally. This is the biggest attack on Jews in Israel since the Holocaust. It's like, imagine, sorry to say this, but the Swiss borders, you're so close to the Swiss, the border, it's that close is the villages. So the attack going from door to door, shooting, burning, beheading, and all that. So it's a big, big shock, and people are still, we can't comprehend it. And then the war in Gaza and the effect, also we can't comprehend the amount of damage and the amount of killed people there. So it's, but also you have to understand Hamas is a terrorist organization supported by Qatar, and unfortunately also supported by the government of Israel, that Bibi Netanyahu let the suitcases of money to support them because he didn't want to support the Rashut Palestinit, how you say that, the Palestinian authorities. Yeah. So, and it was a big, the army didn't function, it was big, relied on, dependent on technology and the big separation wall instead of human intelligence. And so it's a really disaster, and people are still trying to overcome it. And Hamas in Gaza, unfortunately, they use civilians. They live in their houses, in their hospitals. So I cannot justify, of course I'm against it, and I demonstrate against the war every week, and for a ceasefire and the release of the hostages. There are still 133 hostages. There's a man, 85 years old, there's 2 babies, this woman, we don't know, they don't show the woman, we're sure everyone's pregnant, and we can't believe the disaster. They're in tunnels, and 40 meters under the ground. It's unheard of. Women, children, it's something that nobody can breathe until they will be released. It's there's this myth, and in Israel, it's not just a myth. It's you take care of everyone who is hurt, everyone who is abducted. It's the most important thing, and suddenly something is changing. It's not the most important thing for the government. They prefer to have war instead of ending it. And in
the meantime, I think Hamas even doesn't know where some of the abducted people, the hostages are. I mean, there's absolute chaos in Gaza, and some of the hostages are simply lost in that chaos, and you have no idea who's living still, who's still alive.
That's so uncomprehended. It's unbelievable. And
when was the first time you had contact with the girls after that?
So
because I assume that was not easy.
On the same day,
what happened?
On the 7th of October, I got text messages from Samar, from Aya, from Majdulin, sending me hugs and hope I am safe and my family is safe. So I was so moved by it. On the same day that I can comprehend it, and so we're in touch since then. I was really touched and moved. That I usually contact them whenever something happens, and then after a few days, things changed. Suddenly, after 2-3 weeks, the troops entered Gaza and bombs, and so they have, the part of the Palestinian people. They're citizens of Israel, but they see themselves as part of. So it's an unbelievable situation, and the Arab citizens in Israel are very quiet. The girls don't post hardly anything for half a year on Facebook and Instagram. They said, I cannot speak freely, so I'm not going to speak. If I cannot condemn the war and what is going on, I prefer, and I get into trouble. Yes, because we have a very right-wing government, and if there's this professor who posted something, there were a few arrests and a few, showing power towards anyone who wrote anti-Israeli posts. So the freedom of speech is not working so much now, and they were heartbroken, and the same. I went to Sama, to Nazareth 2 months ago, 1.5 months ago. She took me to places for coffee and really nice ones in the market, and I saw that she's changed. It's
but in which way?
In which way? Worried about her career because she depends on the Israeli productions. And in what way, we don't know. None of us know what will happen. It's the first time I know myself as a grown-up. It's usually there's a war, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, month, and that's it. This is 7 months. We don't know what happened. I don't know if you all know, but there are attacks and drones from Hezbollah in the north every day. So there are hundreds of ruined houses in the north. And they come from villages in Nazareth. It's in the north, so they can also, there are Arab villages that are hurt. There's no difference, and so they want to be also protected, so they can't, speak freely like they used to. And Israel, there's 150,000 people evacuated from the north and the south because of all the missiles and houses ruined, and they can't return. And what the most tragic thing about the people that massacred and kidnapped, most percent of them are really left wings that are pro-Palestinian and pro-peace. And many of the Gaza people who worked in their houses came, told about the places, and came, were part of the Hamas massacre, and not the massacre, but the
intelligence behind
the intelligence and the robbing, and many people, helped them going to hospital when needed, and so it's really changed a lot of Israelis with the hope of living together and maybe creating a Palestinian state, and but for me personally, this has not affected my point of view. Even more, I believe in connecting and knowing and trying to figure out how to live together and do peace negotiation or something. I don't know in Gaza what will happen, but in the West Bank, definitely.
I mean, how do you see your exhibition in the light of that?
I'm really in love with my exhibition now, which is much more. You've
seen it again today.
Yeah, I've seen it again. It's like really. I don't know. I'm proud of it. I thinking it's a different age, area. Nothing will be changed, but everything will be changed. On the surface, it will be the same. Everything is the same, but something is really broken on the feeling of, I think, of the Arab citizens in Israel. I think something is really broken of their future here together, of really belonging. And we have to work to make it happen, to build trust and continue to build trust.
I mean, it's basically one of the reasons why we said we have to keep the exhibition even longer, and because it focuses on what might be the crucial question, and that is how can the four ladies and the Israeli Palestinians as a whole can start not to be strangers in their own country, and they are Israelis, so it's their own country. But how can they be part of the fabric? How can they be part of the identity? I mean, it's a difficult category, but how can they be part of the fabric of the country and I mean, one part of your exhibition shows the protests against the nation-state law, which
Yes.
also was a moment where parts of the Israeli society stood up, and the majority smashed it through.
Yeah.
And it was also obviously something that politicized in a way Summer and the others. Yeah, how can this? How can your work contribute to this idea of belonging after what happened?
First of all, we need to change the government and cancel this law, and I hope it will be cancelled, because there are talks now about cancelling it, because there's a lot of Bedouins and in the army.
The Druze.
The Druze. So they will do. This just the Muslims will have the national law. No, yeah. We have to get rid of the government. And secondly, there is a rise of Arab citizens working in Israel together. If you go to the hospitals, all the doctors, all the nurses, all the Röntgen persons, most of them are now women and men are Arab, Palestinian citizens of Israel. So they handled all the people that were injured and killed on the 7th of October. It's like this thing brought us more together, but made it difficult to express the freedom of speech. So in some way, there's a condition. It's a condition. You're together, you're okay, but you cannot say what you really think.
You're mute.
You're mute.
You're together, but you're mute.
You're together and mute. That is the situation now. And hopefully, it will not happen with this government. This is of course, the government, Bibi has to go, and Ben-Gvir and Smotrich have to go, and then we can start breathing again. Because we all feel that, you know, like we talked, maybe there's no future. If it will be too religious and want to establish a Palestinian state or do something it cannot continue. It can continue in apartheid, more discrimination, in an ugly way that we don't want part of it, at least more than half of the citizens. So I feel anger because they conflicted this, I don't know how you say it, imposed on us this conflict in the 67th war, that they didn't return the land, and it could have been so different.
I mean, you're a photographer. Is there any idea of a next project that somehow, reflects this old new situation?
Yes. First of all, I have to say that this exhibition cannot be exhibited as it is in Israel, because there's issues here that no museum wants to show, the Nakba demonstration and the Palestinian flag and the Palestinian poster, and now it will be more difficult to do it. So I'm so moved that many people here see it, and because they see it also in a universal way. And what I am going to dig two projects that I'm doing is why I said the 66-day war, because my father was passed away 4 years ago, and I inherited all those. He was an amateur photographer, all these Kodachrome boxes, and I was looking at them, and suddenly I saw boxes of. He had a tour of the West Bank and Jerusalem, and a month after the 6-day war, and it's so beautiful pictures, and I saw with it we photograph very similar, and he showed. I don't know, like a prophet of the future, all the places that would be the main conflict areas of the important for religious from both sides. Marat HaMachpelah, how do you say it? Forgot the name. The grave of Abraham, and the grave of Rachel's tomb, Jerusalem, the wall. And you see Sharon, everything is empty, there's no settlements. And I think I'm going to do a collage with his work and photograph things in the area. But now I cannot enter those places. I need special permission. It's very difficult, so I'm working on it. And and also going back to my father, my grandparents were chalutzim. They came from Poland and Latvia to build a moshav in Israel, and my great-grandparents came from Ukraine and built a house in Neve Tzedek, the first neighborhood. So I'm really into all those, what is going on, what happened, and
how to go back to square one.
How to go back to square one. When did it all go wrong? There was, so these are things that are interesting to me. And the exhibition is moving to Germany, and I'm going to do a follow-up with the girls, something for next year. Something, I don't know yet. So you have to come to the opening.
Yeah, I know that it's going to Braunschweig, but I didn't know about this.
Yes, so we're doing something, we don't know yet.
I mean, you hope that it's not only going to Braunschweig.
Yeah. And I was talking,
traveling.
I really hope it continues. It has to, yes. We needed to go to more places. And what I'm most proud is the girls, the young women, they are part of it. It's a collaboration, and they send you all the best wishes and love. And so, and Aya said to me, I hope it makes a change over there, if not here. They see it. It's important for them that it is shown, it continues, it represents what they want to say now. They didn't know it back then, but now they're standing behind it totally.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
They have to come again.
Yeah.
We work on that.
Here.
And to Braunschweig. And
yes.
Out of all places.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be like a traveling. Each exhibition will gather more people, and we'll go from place to place together. Like a circus, for people following.
I mean, actually, crazy as it is, but this exhibition was and is the one that attracted the most visitors we ever had. I mean, we did a lot of big exhibitions on seemingly popular subjects like the Jews and the Alps and, I don't know, the female side of God, and sounds all like attracting people. But this show
I'm so pleased.
Broke records.
Wow, it's amazing. Yes, amazing.
So it was a big gift to us.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have also still a few questions, but I think we could also involve the small crowd that is here tonight. Even if spring has obviously started and attracted people for the beer garden, there was a big news. The headline of the regional paper today was "The beer gardens are open."
Ah, okay.
That was for the regional paper. This was the most important news of the day.
I'm so jealous of you.
They did something wrong there, and
you're so lucky.
I mean, the news of the more serious Standard paper was that the FPÖ, which means our Ben Gvirs, is leading in all polls for the next elections. So I was thinking that the news about the beer garden is even better. But, So, but it's up to you, and please come by with your questions.
Iris, you mentioned before that you are demonstrating every week. You are in contact with other people that are more on the left side, still fighting for peace and for communicating with each other and collaborating. We're looking from the outside onto the Israeli left, which I think has had slaps from both the left and the right side, and the Hamas and the global left and all the wokeists all over the world.
I didn't even talk about that. Yes.
So there are a lot of slaps, a lot of pushbacks for the Israeli left that has been more and more marginalized in a way over the last few years, especially with this government and obviously more and more religious and right-wingish people. How, from the inside and your perspective, also being part of this movement, what do you see as the future for the left-wing Israeli movement? Like, what is the future there? Where do you want to go? Where do you see your allies within Israel, but also, you know, in the rest of the world, maybe?
The left, it's really, we got a really big shock with everything that's going on in the world. In the first 2 months, I think everybody was answering all those posts from the art scene. Suddenly, just free Gaza, free Palestine, no word of the massacre, no word of the kidnapped. It was such a shock. No word, all the women organization, all the Me Too. Why aren't you talking about the women that are raped? They're talking about it. We have witnesses. They're doing films about it. That is the biggest shock of ever. And the academics and the arts. There was this the Biennale in Venice, and there was this big organization against exhibiting there. And I can understand pro-Palestinian, I can understand against the war, but I cannot understand the black and white and not seeing complexion and not understanding it. It's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. And not knowing and singing from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Okay, what about me? Where am I supposed to go? Do you want me to go back to Poland? I wasn't so welcome there, and the family there. So it's like
no. With Poland is still the better choice. But what's about those who have to go back to Iraq?
Oh, in Iraq, and half of Israel of the
Tehran.
Jewish are from Arab expelled. Not expelled. How do you say? You know, they had to flee, all the Arab Jews after the establishment of Israel. So there's nowhere to, you know, and okay, so it's like we feel like we've been a traitor, like. But on the other hand, say something positive. Say peace. Say build. We are supporting a Palestinian state next to Israel. Don't. It's understandable. So that is one thing. And what was the next question? Sorry, Annika. Yes, and okay. So there's nothing we can do. The government has 64 seats, and now. And it's not going anywhere. You can't make it. They have not taken any responsibility for what happened at the 7th October, which you think normally any prime minister or ministers will resign and say we have failed, but they don't recognize the acknowledgement that they failed. So there is. And the head of the security, national security, is Ben-Gvir, and the police are getting more and more violent against our demonstrations. And but it could be a civil war. It could end up as a civil war against. This is fight of religious. What is going on in Israel in the Jews, not the Arab. I think it's about. I know it's about about turning the West Bank part of Israel, about being more religious. So we're waiting for election because it sounds in the meantime that there's a little left, a lot of right, and a lot of center in Israel. So all the polls say that the center and the left will, but what we need is the Arab parties. We need the Arab parties. We need the Arab citizens to vote for the center and for the left. We need the collaboration together, and that is something that I don't understand because I remember when there was Amarach, the Labour Party. They had offices in all the villages, the Arab villages, and it was, and now they don't. So it will only change if the Arab will elect, what they call Zionist parties, or have new leaders or something like that, and And on the other side, if the Israeli parties will go to the Arab villages and start again to build the trust. It has to be built.
I mean, there are attempts even to create joint forces. Very weak, I mean, standing together.
Yes.
Competence for peace. Then there are attempts again and again to kind of create a joint party, which I think would be the game changer.
Yes.
If it would be.
There was
some
Hadash
ideas.
is Jewish, but something new.
It never really got up. And as long as there's no party that you could vote for that has not even a Stalinist background, which some of the joint force party had, old communists, that were not an offer to many. As long as there is no real joint alternative, a lot of people simply don't know what to vote for.
Yes, that is what is needed. That is the future of Yair Golan. I just saw that he has but he came from he's in the army, so a lot of Arabs don't want to vote for someone who's a general in the army. So they have to change also. They have to change. We all need to change, and leave aside our old way of thinking and start something new. Both sides, Arabs and Palestinians and Israelis, inside Israel.
I mean, the first step would be a ceasefire that would allow finding the hostages, starting to find them, and to release
whoever is
left there.
And the bodies. Yeah.
I mean, that would be the starting point.
Yes.
And I mean, some international bodies, even the EU, even the American government is trying to push in that direction with obviously not enough energy, obviously.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Iran and the Houthim and... Yeah. No, because there was the coalition of something did emerge, the coalition to, against Iran of Jordan and Saudi Arabia and the Americans that helped Israel take down the 300 drones sent to Israel from Iran. So that is something maybe hopeful that it will be a pressure. Yeah, maybe. Sorry.
So Iris, I want to ask you, you have really fear about Iranian atomic bomb? I have not, because it's impossible to destroy Israel with atomic bombs. So the Palestinians, they will die together with you.
Yeah.
And it's senseless. So I don't understand what is this talk about Iran. Iran is weak. Iran is weak. Iran is not strong.
Without nuclear.
It was just...
So for me, it's a joke with the atomic bomb. I was in Israel 2003, and the man, he told me, there is an atomic bomb from Iran. I told him, so give everybody an atomic bomb so we can destroy us.
The Iranian,
This would be the solution. Huh? If everybody in his pocket has an atomic bomb. So what can we do?
The
Americans dreamt of having atomic little nuclear plants in every car.
Everybody was afraid there's going to be a third world war. That's why everybody's interested in this region, because it could quickly turn into a third world war if Iran had hit, if they've succeeded in destroying places. It's thanks to the technology that is in Israel and the help of all the alliance to destroy the. But the Iranian leaders set out to destroy Israel. That is their main, the main, I don't know how you say it, main idea.
I mean,
it's not a joke.
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, the problem in this conflict is that there are a lot of people around who say things they can't do.
Yes.
And they say ugly things they can't do.
Yes.
I mean, luckily they can't do.
Yes.
I mean, vier is wiping out Gaza in his rhetoric, but he can't do. The Iranians say they wipe out Israel, but they can't do. So the real issue is that Iran is destroying Lebanon in a way.
Yes, Syria.
And they have their own agenda with Saudi Arabia, where both sides actually are not innocent.
And they support
Hamas.
And
they support Hamas. But that's part of their power game. But the problem is the victims of the Iranian gestures of destruction are the Iranian people. I mean,
it's really tragic.
It's part of their power game, their internal power game. Like Vier's muscle playing is part of his internal power game. So it's what people talk about is not always what they really are able to do and what they really want to do.
I want to answer her because, you know, we are afraid we have such crazy leaders, including my prime minister, and if Trump will be re-elected again, and Putin, you never know when an ego of someone will just hit the button and then it will start, and Iran will send to Israel. They would do it, not now, but it could happen. We never thought an attack like the 7th of October would happen. It was never even they never even discussed it in the army, and it was something that they couldn't believe would happen. So we have to be prepared also with Iran. We can't say anymore they will not send a bomb. We have to be prepared. I mean, the army has to be prepared and the government for that, for every possibilities.
However you can do that. I mean, all the possibilities are quite a lot of possibilities.
Yes. No, I mean,
and human beings are limited.
So the Israelis were because of Biden. He said, don't do too much things in Iran, and
the wise man,
like that.
The last wise man in the capital.
Yes.
Angelika. Wer von euch?
I would be interested in how you build bridges. How do you rebuild bridges? How do you reach Israeli Palestinians? Do you have a strategy there?
In Israel or in Gaza?
In Israel.
In Israel. Like Hanno said, there are many groups that are now having more impact, extending together and trying to do things together, discussion. Many organizations do it, but it's not enough because it's like persuading the people who are persuaded already. Much more is needed for a bridge. I don't know. It has to be personal in work and workplaces, neighbors, and exhibitions like this. You know, things like that, movies, art, culture. I'm sure something will change now, and because in the day-to-day life, like I said, on the surface it's the same, but the building trust is something that needs more working out, like this, like canceling the law of nationality will be a start. My dream is that the new villages and cities mixed will be built. I think that will change everything and not have this separation. And I don't know, there are talks about now the recruiting for the army or the service or doing volunteer works like Jews, and maybe in some way that would help have a sense of belonging and and hope. Yeah, we're still at war, so we're not in that phase, but there are brilliant organizations. You can look them up on Instagram or Facebook, Standing Together. You can see the work they're doing. It's an Israeli Jew and a Palestinian, and they're both the leaders of the organizations, and they're both trying to understand the other. It's really nice, yes, and that's how it should be. We hope.
So, yeah.
We had this. We had a workshop this morning with a school class from Dornbirn, and there was a girl of Iranian origin. And did you also feel that she was very shy in the corner in the beginning?
Yeah, I went.
And then she was so happy when you came to her, and she really smiled when you were talking to her.
Yes,
she opened a bit.
Yes.
Did you also feel like this?
Yes, I saw that she was very happy I talked to her. I told her I have many friends, Iranian Jewish friends, and it's really nice to meet her. And she told me her piano teacher, music teacher, is also a Jewish Iranian.
Okay.
And we talked about what is going on now with women in Iran, and I asked her if she's into art, because she'll have a lot of work to do with her Iranian origins. And she says, she told me she's afraid if it won't succeed. And we were talked about art, and that you have to try, and and it's better than not to try. So it was really, really nice. She was really, yes, she didn't know how I would react.
Yeah, in the beginning.
She's so beautiful. I just wanted to tell her, you're so beautiful, and yes, thank you. Yes, she really opened up. Yeah, because it's strange, because we're with Iran. It's not against the people. First of all, there's many Israelis, Iranian origin Jewish from Iran. And there's this feeling that the Iranian people, are not so affected by the leaders. So the people are still continuing to have this, before the revolution, this sense of, more democratic, more modern, more. That's the dream, to return to that life. So Israelis don't see Iranian as the enemy. No, it's not even, but only just the leaders, the Shah. It's not.
It's interesting if there are polls, maybe even biased polls, but there are polls showing the percentage of anti-Semitic stereotypes in different societies. And the interesting thing was that in these polls, the Iranian people were, even if this were polls by Jewish organizations who had an interest to, let's say, to make the numbers a little higher than maybe. But the Iranian numbers were much lower than Hungary, for instance, or Poland.
Yes, it is. It's amazing.
So the proud Christian Europeans always talking about those Muslims. Should even read these polls.
Yes.
Iran is a very interesting country.
Very interesting, yes.
It's like Israel. Everybody waits for the leaders to be toppled.
Yes,
and
the same. We relate to each other.
Something to emerge.
Yes. And both our religion is something that is in both countries very dominant. The religious who are religious, not the secular. Yeah. Think about the work and everything about all the left progressive organizations in the States and in Europe, and how can you explain that they're avoiding the Israelis hostages and victims, and on this left and right not seeing the complex of it all?
part of it is still a riddle for me, I have to say. I mean, how people in the art field are, and in the academic field, are so much moved by the desire for a kind of black and white image of everything, where you simply know who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. And I mean, this is a big disappointment, because you would expect from people in the art field and in the academic field at least some kind of desire to address a complex issue as something complex. On the other hand, there is so much frustration. I mean, there is, first of all, that there is so much energy in the art and in the academic field about the subject has also to do with a lot of Jewish people being so frustrated with Israeli politics that they start to develop the desire to finish it, which means, I mean, to finish with this state, because it makes trouble.
Yeah.
It makes trouble. It makes life difficult. And if you are not really thinking of the consequences of what that means, I mean, half of the population of Israel, half of the Jewish population of Israel, literally has no other place to go. I mean, the Europeans, the Austrian Jews, the German Jews, the Polish Jews, even the Portuguese, they can go for a European passport, and many do, and we help them, because they should have at least a safe haven to go to, and Israel is definitely not a safe haven. That was one of the black things to grasp on the 7th of October, that the myth that Israel is a safe haven for Jews in the world is definitely not true anymore. But the problem is which kind of consequences you take from there. But if you are not having the privilege of having Polish or Ukrainian or Portuguese or German or Austrian ancestors, but your ancestors came from Iran or from even Iraq, Morocco, Egypt. Morocco is in this whole spectrum the best. It's the best bet. You have a chance to go back to Morocco. They would take you. Maybe not all the 250,000, but Morocco would be pleased to welcome some Jews. I'm not sure about Iraq and Tehran at the moment, Egypt. And Yemen,
yes.
Don't talk about Yemen. So half of the Jewish population in Israel has no choice. And on the other hand, there is a panic. There is also another thing that you don't talk so much in Israel about, but you have, Israel has friends in the world, so-called friends, and they are mostly right-wing people who are playing their game with Israel, that's our bulwark against the Muslims and against the Oriental and against. So they also use, the friends Israel has on the surface are using Israel for their agenda as well. And many Jews in Germany and Austria and in the US are trapped in between. And are panicking because this idea of just splitting Israel and Palestine into two and say, okay, here's Palestine, here's Israel, that this simple idea of a two-state solution, you simply take the wand and everything is solved. Many realize that this doesn't work. At least it doesn't work in the simple form of two states that are not connected with each other in one way or the other. And if you have a look on the map and you see what kind of mess is created since the 90s by all these settlements and 600, 700,000 settlers.
What a mess.
You will never peacefully can remove from there, but who are also probably not willing to become peaceful Palestinians. So there is a mess now, and the mess makes people panicking. And if you panic with this experience of persecution for centuries, you go to the strong people to save you, which are the Trumps and the Orbans and all the fascists around. And you think, okay, we know they are anti-Semites, they don't like us, but still they will help us. And that's a kind of mindset that is very prominent among Jews in the diaspora today, which is making things worse.
They vote for right-wing?
They vote, or at least they express sentiments that are very likely to be used by the right-wingers.
Oh my God.
Which again leads those on the left, I mean those on the so-called left and the left, to be even more fanatic anti-Israel, because they see that Israel is a friend of all the fascists in the world. So, I mean, this mess has a fallout in Europe and in the US that is leading, I don't know where it's leading to. So now I stop it. I talk to her.
No, it's a big issue.
Yeah.
Like in Italy, but
wherever you look, it's the right-wingers who now pretend to be the biggest friends of Israel.
Yeah.
And if you scratch a little on their surface, the real traditional anti-Semitism pops out of the little scratch that you do at once. No. So now that's about our problems.
Because
we are not in a war. We are just.
You know, the Jews are such a small minority in the world, just 14 million or 16 million.
Yeah, 20.
20? They're saying in Israel it's 16. 20?
They say in Israel because they want to be the majority of the Jews in the world.
No.
So that's always a play with statistics.
Okay. And there's,
there's still more Jews living not in Israel than in Israel.
Yes.
And the Israelis don't like that.
Okay.
I mean, the Israelis.
But it is still a minority comparing to 1.8 million Muslims in the world.
And 3 billion of Christians.
3 billion Christians. So think what a small minority, Yeah.
The problem is that
that is what I'm starting to think about.
I mean, that's part of that. What you ask. They are a tiny minority, but they are a significant minority, particularly for Christians, because I mean there is no Christianity without the Jewish prophecy. So Christianity can't explain itself without explaining the Jews, and the Muslims also reside on the Hebrew Bible and on the prophets, taking Jesus as one of the prophets, so they reside on Judaism and Christianity in a way, which makes things not easier but more complicated. So it's a symbolic, I mean, that makes everything that happens there, I mean,
here.
There, here, there where you are regularly, makes everything symbolic for the whole world. I mean, the Buddhists and others would argue with that, but with a reason. But for the Christian and Muslim world, Jerusalem is the center, and everything what happens there is. They want to define, not the Jews, and not the Palestinians. The Palestinians are also just a figure on the chess plate, on the chess. So, but I thought we better end up this evening with some kind of optimism and at least the curiosity from your next work, and for the hope that the exhibition will travel to more places with something added anew, some kind of comment.
Thank you. Thank you.